Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
First, please, I want to apologize on behalf of the class. We are deeply sorry, ma. We were carried away by some of the projects we have deadlines for that we are supposed to submit this week. We are deeply sorry, ma. We promise it won't happen next time. Thank you, ma.
Okay, accepted.
Thank you, ma. Okay. Oh. Ma, please, can you give me 2 minutes?
Okay, Ebube. Daniel, you were going to say something.
Yes, ma. I wanted to go first. I wanted to ask if I could go after Esther. Just in
No,
case.
you can't.
Okay, ma.
Okay, good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Yeah, okay. I would just like to proceed. Yeah, so you are
Ebube, right?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Yes. So a review on what we've done so far. We started with introduction to SQL, the different types of database management. We need to understand that MySQL is a relational database management system, and you also have Oracle SQL. But Oracle, MySQL is open source, so that's what we are going to be using for our classes. So then introduced us to the different kind of commands. You have the data definition language commands, data manipulation language commands, then data control language commands. And then data definition language commands, you have create, you have select. Then use those to define a particular data set that you want. You create a table, define the number of columns you have, and then you talk about the different data types you can use in SQL. It includes varchar and integers, the small int, and date time, and others like that. So after all that, then we went to the data manipulation language, which includes the group by. That's when you want to arrange your data sets in a particular form that suits you. So group by a particular categorical variable. You can group by. You can also arrange your data set in different ways you want. You have the group by. You have. Then when you can also join assets based on a particular based on some particular rules that are common to data sets in one particular column. So for instance, you have different types. Basically, you have the inner join, you have the full outer join, which also is similar to, which could also be called a full join in essence. And then you have the normal join. Basically, inner join and normal join are similar. They join based on an intersection, what is common to the both data sets, and the full outer join and the full join like a union. So it picks what's common and then it still takes everything all together. Then you have the left join and the right join. The left join joins based on everything common on the left table, and the right join joins on everything that exists on the right table. So whatever does not exist, whatever is not common to the both of them, in the case of left join, what exists on the left table will also be taken as well. The same thing goes for the right join. So after that, we also did that was based on last class. We reviewed advanced queries, of which you decided to teach us pivoting. So pivoting is just to more like as it is in Excel to pivot a particular data set. Maybe you want to you have a categorical variable and then it's repeating in your particular in your data. So you probably want to find out the eventual sum of everything all together and then present it as a pivot table. So use the pivot function. But I recall you told us that we could not use pivot on MySQL. That is not, the function is not allowed on, is not available on MySQL. So we can only do that on Oracle SQL. So that's as much as, I mean, we did.
Thank you.
There are also other forms that you missed. Okay. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Your time is up. Marvelous. Hello.
Hello, ma. Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Yes, ma. So I would just like to proceed as well. Firstly, we apologize once again for our shortcomings, and like Esther said, it won't repeat itself. So over the past weeks, we've looked at we've been going through SQL, and I think I remember vividly the first class you tried to make us to understand the difference between SQL and MySQL, and you made mention that SQL is a language, which means structured query language, and why MySQL is just like a platform on which SQL can run, which means that there are other different platforms that we can run the structured query language on, and others are, we have Oracle SQL, MSS SQL, and the likes. And you also pointed out that um, the structured query language is such that is flexible on all other platforms, such that if one can master it on a particular platform, then it will be easier to apply it on other platforms. Then we also talked about the different types of data we talked about the different types of data database or something like that, and you made mention that we're going to be focusing on relational database management for the purpose of the class, and which we're going to be using MySQL, which is an open source software. And you also introduced us to the different types of data structures that we have in MySQL. You're introduced to the different types of data structures. We have vector, we have integers, we have decimals, and the likes. And we also talked about the DDL and DML, which is DDL is data definition language commands and data manipulation language commands. And you were okay before. I think before then, before when there how to create tables, create database, drop database, truncate tables, and the likes. And we we went further to talk about DDL and DML commands. Then I think uh, we also talked about operators in SQL, which is the addition, the subtraction, and the division. How do we apply it? We also went further to talk about the joins. I think that was one very key thing that we talked about, and we talked about it extensively. We talked about the inner join, full join, left join, and outer join, and you made us to understand that the inner join, when we apply the inner join, it's kind of like joins. If you apply it on two tables, it joins both tables together, so that it gives us what is common to both. Why the full join Right, the full join returns all records, the records that are both that are present in both. While the left join returns all the records that are present in the left table and those that are common to it in the right table. While the right join returns all the records or data that are present in the right table and those that are common to it in the left table. Then I think from there we moved on to advanced queries. Advanced queries where we okay, before then we also mentioned about join, that there's natural join. Yes, the natural join is quite different from the inner join, in that the way the tables will appear is quite different, but then the result that it will give us is the same. Then we also talked about writing advice queries using the case when, the like operators, and any. And we also talked about nested queries. That's like having a query in a query, if I'm right, like a subquery. Talked about subquery, having a query in a query. Then I think we also talked about pivoting in my SQL. So thank you, Mark.
All right, thank you. Henry. Henry, are you there?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. So sorry, ma'am. My sermon may not be as long as that of Evil and Marvelous.
I didn't get that.
I said my sermon may not be as it will be marvelous. It's going to be so brief. But,
No problem.
yes, ma'am. So over the past 5 weeks, we've been learning business analytics. You explained the introduction to SQL and how much it's a relational database and how it differs from how my SQL differs from the Oracle SQL. We also learned the SQL data types, the numeric, the chars, the binary. Yeah. Then also over time we also practiced and learned how to create database and how to create tables on the SQL database. How to create it manually in database and the difference when we're importing data from Excel. We also learned some necessary commands used on MySQL to carry out some analytics. We also learned the different types of joins, SQL joins, that's the inner join, the full join, the left join, and the right join. Inner, with inner, outer, I think left and right, yes. And how much joins is important whenever we want to merge a couple of tables that have similar, quite similar on some rows of columns. We also learned some SQL operations as well. I think that is practically it for me, man.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, who's next? Okay, Esther, let's have you now. Okay, I guess she's not ready. Hubert.
I am. I was trying to mute myself, ma. Thank you very much, ma. Okay. Like they have said, we spoke about categories of SQL query, the data definition language, data manipulation, data control. So my takeout from those categories, basically, how I differentiate them is that DDL functions basically make reference to the containers like the create, alter, the drop, while the DML manipulation makes reference to the data itself. So we use queries like select, insert, update, delete. So you made mention you spoke about the differences between delete and truncate. That delete is, yes, truncating is more like removing all the okay, let me explain it this way. That truncating is more like temporary deletion, but then we still retain the structure of the table, but all the values are lost. While deletion is more like permanent delete. Then also there's commit. Commit is also like permanent deletion. I said delete, drop table. Sorry, pardon me, please. So we spoke about not null, unique values, primary key, foreign key. Not null specifies a column must have a value in it, like a column cannot be empty. Then unique simply means that the value in that in each in each row must be distinct. Yes, let me use the word. While primary key specifies a column, a set of column that uniquely defines a row. Foreign key is a column that references columns of another table. Like I said last week, foreign key is used to make the foreign key in the child table must also be a unique key in its own table. So it's basically used to keep the integrity of the table. Joins can happen without it, but for integrity purpose, we have to reference our foreign key. We spoke about aggregate functions, and then specifically mentioned that aggregate function always goes with group by. That's we group by maybe another column that will not be aggregated at all. Then the way I understand having, it works like the where function, but it is used in the statement that contains aggregate function. So whenever we have aggregate function, we don't use where, we use having instead. Then we also spoke about, okay, we spoke about wildcard. I think that was last week. Spoke about wildcards. That's the line operators. We have the percentage sign, the underscore. So the percentage functions, if percentage is before a word, then that means that the column name must end with that word. Say, for example, percentage A, that means the column where the column, select select that. Okay, how do I explain this? If percentage is used before any letter, so that means at the end of that column, the name must, when assuming it is percentage A, it must end with A. But if it is at the end, then it works the other way around. It must begin with A. Then the underscore also functions in a similar way. If we have something like say underscore A, we will assume that the first letter must any letter as should occupy position, while the second letter must be the letter A. I don't know if you get that. So we also spoke about I'm just trying to pick out something nobody mentioned. Okay, last week we spoke about the pivot. I'm still trying to understand that, but basically we explained that we should see it as the way pivot works in Excel. So basically, it's summary, and then we spoke about subqueries also, more like queries or queries like queries that references another query, and then okay, I think that.
Okay, Esther.
Thank you, ma.
The time is up.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you. Hubert.
Okay, good morning, ma'am.
Good
Can you hear me?
morning.
Okay.
Yes, good
It seems like
morning.
everyone has almost exhausted the topic. I'll just give a summary of everything that I have learned. I wouldn't go into too much detail. So we started out with
Okay.
learning SQL, since it's one of the major tools we're using so far in business analytics. We started out with that, and then we learned about the RDBMS and the DBMS. Then we differentiated between MySQL and SQL. So we also went further to talk about different data types, numeric data types, strings, binary data types, and all of that. So after that, we went ahead to talk about how we use these different data types in MySQL in designing our database systems. So we also went ahead to talk about the language itself, which is the query language SQL. We talked about the major elements of it, that's DDL and the DML. DDL being the data definition language, and then data manipulation language for DML. So we learned how each of these commands help us to carry out analysis in SQL. Also, we went further to talk about various other things. We've also had exercises where we practiced, implementing these commands to analyze data. We created database systems. We imported data, learned different ways to import data, different methods. We went ahead to learn about different functions we could use, the join, and all of that. And then also the pivots that Victor just mentioned as well, which is one of the things that's also in Excel, where we haven't really gone too deep to know so much. I think that's all I'll just say for now. Man. I don't want to repeat everything that the other person has said. Thank you very much, man.
Okay. Thank you. Sunday.
All right, good morning, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, good morning.
So, basically, we've been talking about SQL. So, and we started with the DBMS, which is Database Management System. And we talked about the types of the DBMS we have. And we have the hierarchical DBMS, we have the relational DBMS, we have the network and the object-oriented DBMS. And we talk about the SQL and MySQL, that SQL is the language that the MySQL speaks. So SQL is just like the words that you are typing on MySQL. So that's just that for this basically. We also talked about some structured query language and subset of SQL, that we have the data definition language, we have the data manipulation language, we have the data control language, and the transaction control language. And also, we talked about the data types we have in SQL. We have the numerical data type, we have the character string data type, we have the binary, and we have the date and time. And under it, we have so many, like numeric, for example, we have the integer, we have the decimal, we have the float, and we have the row. And data type, we have text, varchar, we have the character number, character type. And under binary, we have the image, we have the binary and binary. And under date and time, we have the date, we have the time data type, we have the date and time data type, depending on which one we want to use actually. So we went into talking about how to design a database, and basically we can use the SQL language by writing it inside MySQL, or using the Excel add-in. Maybe after your data has been well structured on Excel, then you can just go and export it to your schema in MySQL. Basically, we know that MySQL, the database that we do call it on MySQL, is actually schema. And also, and if you want to do the SQL writing on MySQL, we use the create to start any database you want to start. Create data, maybe create any database name you want to start. And also, if you want to drop a database, we talked about some languages we can use to create and to drop a table. Also, we talked about um, okay, we talked about the SQL clause and operation. and we talked about the likes of our operators that we have. We have the addition, we have the subtraction, we have the multiplication, and we have arithmetic operators, logical operators, and for logical operators, we have the or, we have any, we have in, we have between. They are just like maybe if you want to pick like for and now, I want to pick like okay, male and female. Just pick out male and female and leave the rest for between. Maybe ranges. Maybe I want to pick number or a cost of money. Okay, sorry, money maybe ranges from a cost of something ranges from maybe 10,000 between 10,000 and between 10,000 and so we have we talk about joints and we basically have four types of joints. We have the inner join, outer join, left join, and right join. And we talked about left join being you drop in you drop in every other thing. Like if the condition of the right table is met, just pick our left table and match them together. So what left outer join just does it returns all the records on our left table and also those that satisfy our right table also. So that's what left outer join does. And right outer join is what it does is just opposite of left outer join, which is it returns all the right table and also the condition every other columns that satisfy that of our left table. And we talk about the full join. It returns both. It returns everything both on the right and on the left table. And we have the inner join also, which also takes the matching value in both tables and it gives us the is the result of the matching values on both the right and the left table. And we talked about writing advanced query, we talked about our white cards, and we talked about this percentage sign
Okay,
whereby
Sunday. All right, thank you. 5 minutes over. Daniel.
Okay, Ma, thank you very much. Once again, I'm very, of course, really apologize for not having gone through this before. My colleagues have said earlier about the courses I've been so far. We've talked about SQL, usually that's structured query language. Being introduced to it up to writing advanced queries using SQL, and because of the way SQL is, we noted that SQL actually cut across a lot of applications, a lot of apps, and that once we learn SQL, that's the language itself, we can apply the language, learn the language to a lot of platforms, which we now talked about using Oracle SQL, which we use Toad for as an interface. And since we don't have we have access to that, we'll be using MySQL for our classes. Database management, the different applications you could use, PostgreSQL, MSQL, and the rest. Then we now went further to talk about the type of languages I embedded in SQL, the data definition language, which has to do with creating, creating or working with data, with the data in MySQL, in SQL, sorry. Then we have the data manipulation, which used to manipulate the data in the tables or database. Then we have data control and transaction control language. So after that, we also talked about different data types, and we talked about different data types that we have: the numeric, the varchar, which is can be used to store different type of characters. Talk about their length. Then we talk about datetime. And by noting that for datetime, some takes just dates, some takes time, just some takes date time together. And then that if you wanted to see the length of each of those, the length or what each of those parameters could take in Oracle, we could do select all from NLS session parameters, because I remember asking that day if we could also get something like that for other data types. Then from there, we moved to talking about the different languages which you have earlier mentioned: data definition, data manipulation, and data manipulation. Basically, those two, using them, and we did different tests, different classes which we use them on creating different databases, and then using these commands to subset our data and to get what we want. I remember vividly also when we were talking about creating tables in database. We talk about truncating, creating database, creating tables, dropping tables, and then truncating. The difference between dropping and truncating. With truncating, we remove all the values from the table, and then you can input new data into the table. While dropping, we remove the table completely, both the table and the values in the table. So talk about different commands from the select statement to select statements to the where clause to the group by clause, which also has the having clause, which is just something like a where clause in the group by. Then we also had order by clause. We also talk about different operators, different commands that we can use in our different operators that we can use in our where clause or others. Talk about the arithmetic operators, the comparison operators, and then logical operators. Then we talk about the joins also.
Okay, Daniel. Thank you.
Then
Hello.
Yes,
Thank
can
you.
hear
Your
you.
time is up.
Oh, okay.
5 minutes is up. Toby, let's have you.
Good morning, Ma.
Good morning.
We're sorry once again about not reading the material, but everyone has said almost everything.
Okay, please, nobody should say sorry again.
Problem. So I'll just try to emphasize on some things that were probably, just emphasize on some things. So as we all know, SQL is the language that we're learning, and then that is actually the language that my SQL uses. And then I'll just go straight to operators where Daniel said. So he said there are different operators that we use for clauses, and then where we have the logical operators, we have arithmetic operators also. So on the like operator, I'm just going to talk on like operator, where we are talking about writing advanced queries. So we talked about wildcards, the underscore and the percentage sign. So wherever a percentage sign comes after a particular word, that's just trying to tell you to find any value that starts with that particular alphabet, but doesn't count the amount of words that come after the particular alphabet. So far, it starts with that particular alphabet. And where underscore is used to specify the count of the letters in a particular word. So if an underscore shows that if an underscore comes before a particular alphabet, it's just trying to tell you that it is just a word that it's just an alphabet that has to come before that particular word, but that particular alphabet, sorry. So if there's an underscore and then a Y, so it's just trying to tell you that the second alphabet in that word has to be Y. So that is how the underscore works. The percentage doesn't show a particular count. It's just the underscore that shows particular count. So yeah, we talked about set operations also in the last class. Talking about union, talking about intersect, talking about minus. So union, as we used during our assignments and even before class, we were told union is combination of rows from two different queries, a left query and the right query. So, and according to what we did, we noticed
okay, it is known that union can only be used for two different tables that have equal number of columns. So if they don't have equal number of columns, if they're not matching columns, you cannot perform union. You cannot perform union operation for the two queries. And talking about intersect is just saying, okay, whatever is common between the left query and the right query, that is what we want to bring out. That is what intersect depicts. And for minus is minus depicts whatever is on the left query that is not on, okay, whatever is uniquely on the left query. That is, whatever is on the right query and that is on the left query, we do not want that. But the union for the minus, we don't want that. So it's like we can say minus is the opposite of left. Okay, we can say minus is the opposite of left or right join. Minus is the opposite of right join, because right join takes all that is in the right table, and then all that is in the right table, including all that is in the left table that is in the right table, if I'm not confusing myself. That's basically what minus is. And then we also talked about nested queries. That is an outer query that has an inner subquery. So we can nest an inner query in an outer query. Like if you actually want to see a particular set of values from a table, and then you now want to still further classify the value that you want to get, then we can use nested queries. And then also there was the asterisk thing that we started with. That asterisk shows all, that wherever we want to select all, asterisk shows it. And then if you do not want to see all, you have to define the amount of columns that you want to see using the select commands. Thank you very much. I hope I was heard. Hello, ma.
All right. Thank you. So, Ibutamino.
Good morning, ma.
Good morning.
Okay, so we've been talking about SQL for the past 4 or 5 weeks. So we got to learn what SQL is, software query language. We got to learn the data types in SQL, the numeric data types, character, binary, and everything. We also learned some commands, some SQL commands. We also learned the different types of commands, the DDL and the DML and the DCL. That's the data control language. We've not really talked about some of these languages, but it is used to control privileges in the data. Then the DDL is the data definition language, where you have create, drop, alter. The DML is data manipulation, where you have the insert, merge, and update. So we also talked about some of the operators, arithmetic operators, and some of the logical operators, and, or, not. We talked about SQL joins and how we can use joins to merge tables together. Then we talked about writing advanced queries using the like function to find values from a particular string or number. We also talked about writing advanced queries, nested queries, and subqueries. That's like a query inside the query. And basically, everybody has said everything. What I know I learned that was new to me was like importing data from Excel.
from Excel system, logging from into the MySQL created tables that you've created. So we also talked about the different data types, yeah, and then how we can also use the different data types to specify the types of data that we need when creating a table. One of my favorite commands is the alter, because most times when we create table, we need to like make changes. So you can use the alter function to like change anything and like alter some of the, let me say, like what we used it to do in our lesson was to add foreign key to the tables we had. So we use the alter command. I think everybody has touched every other thing. About, okay, the
All
drop.
right. Okay, thank you, Toby. I think there's one more person. Sorry, Tamina, sorry.
Yes, that's
Sunday.
Richard.
Richard. Okay. Sorry. How did I jump? Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, Richard, let's have you.
Okay, good morning.
Good
Basically,
morning.
it's everything. So you started by telling us about SQL. Like SQL is a database which is using accessing and managing our database, and we have three major um, database in SQL. We have I think we have the Oracle, we have the Microsoft Server, and MySQL. MySQL is a really free one. The benefits. So we talked about our data definition language, data manipulation language, data control language, and transactional control language. In our data manipulation language, we have what we call the insert, the delete, and the retrieve. So one important aspect to explain is the drop table and the truncate table, which Daniel and Esther explained. Truncate will drop the data, but will retain the table, while drop will drop both the table and the data. So talk about data control, which most people don't talk about. So that is just to give us permission to the database. Maybe, for example, you're working with a bank database and they want to restrict the access to some information on their database. So they can use the data control language to do that and also to revoke your access when you're done with the projects. We talk about our transaction control language, where we do our commits, our row, our save points. So again, we talk about our join language, about our join function, which is an important aspect of SQL, where we have our union, index join, right join, and cross join. I think we implement union join in our assignments where you gave us sales for 2018, 2019, 2020. So these are union join to combine all the rows together in the table. That we talked about. Okay, and one important aspect to talk about is in our data type, under character, we have what we call voucher and char. So the major difference between the char and voucher is you can use, for example, you can use voucher for name of customer where the length is not defined, and char where the length is defined, maybe in gender, where we have just male and female, at least in Nigeria for now. We talk about our database function where we have our accounts, average sum, minor, minimum and maximum. We talk about our group by talk about group by actually used for arranging our table, and we have a having function which is used to place the condition on the query. And we talk about your order by in order by is by default is in ascending order. You can change it to descending order. So basically we talk about our subquery, our case statements. I think I've been talking about almost everything, so that'll be all for me.
All right, thank you. So that was a good one from everybody. Really, I must say, good one from everybody. Okay, so one more thing. How many people is on mobile? So nobody's on mobile. All right, good. Okay.
Ma'am,
I am, ma'am.
I'm on mobile, man.
I am.
Okay, so whether on mobile or not on mobile, how many of you have used SQL? Like you have it on your system and you have used it, you've worked on it before. Pardon? I mean MySQL, like the MySQL you have on your system. If you know you've not really done anything on it before, let me know. Okay, so I assume everybody has used it before. So for those that are not on mobile, okay, who is on mobile again? Sunday is on mobile. Who else?
I am on mobile, ma'am.
Esther is on mobile. Henry is on mobile. Marvelous is on mobile.
Toby, ma'am.
So Toby is on. So 5 out of 10 is on mobile. Okay. So the people on mobile, do you have your laptops with you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Makes it better. All right. So, Toby, please share your screen. Let me see what you've done so far on MySQL.
I should share my screen.
So just put on your phone camera, turn it to face the system. This is not what I planned for today's class, though. But with the way you people are going, I don't know. I just had to do this.
Is it visible? Can you see well?
I can see you. Yeah. Not clear, though. Okay. Ebube, can I see your screen? Your Microsoft, your MySQL.
So hello, ma.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm on mobile, and the problem is my laptop it has a bad battery, so it's not usually on when there's no power. That's just the problem I have right now. There's no power currently.
Okay. Esther?
Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to connect with my system. Should I go ahead sharing with my phone or just wait a while?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Richard?
I see my screen now.
Yes, I can.
This is from the
You
last
can
assignment.
just open it, scroll from up to down gradually. I'll see. Scroll down, please. Okay. Esther, oh yeah. Can I have yours?
Can I start sharing now?
Yes, please.
Hey, ma'am, I wanted to ask a question. Why using joins?
When what?
While using joins, I wanted to know if it's actually case sensitive.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not case sensitive.
Because I tried joining two tables from the sales data and the products data. And well, I already imported my products to the database, but trying to join it was telling me that the products, I think I related the issue with Daniel, and he wasn't so sure why it was giving that issue. Because I haven't
Okay,
updated.
Okay, check the. It should be the columns you are joining on that is case sensitive.
Yes, I actually made it. I wrote it the same way it was written on the Excel, and when I imported it to the database, but it was still giving that same error. Even while I deleted the table and imported it and updated, I don't know, updated my schemas, it was still giving the same error. So
How about the data type?
Ma?
Did you check your data type?
I did not. But while I was importing it, I felt it was already updated on Excel.
Okay, check your data types. It could be from the data types. All right. So this is O screen. O screen is this area.
This is Esther.
Esther. Okay. Okay, I'll send this. All right. Richard, have I seen yours?
So you can stop sharing.
Yes, please. I've seen Richard, right? Okay, Daniel, let me see your screen. After Daniel, then Henry. Let's see what you have.
I thought I had stopped sharing. Sorry, please, can you still see my screen?
Yes, I'm still seeing your screen.
Let me just log out from my system. All right. Thank you, Ma.
Okay. Daniel, is Daniel not on the call again? Okay, Hubert, let's have your screen.
I am sorry. I wanted to get a hands free. I couldn't hear what you were saying clearly, so I wanted to get a hands free. Should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Ma. Oh, can you see my screen now? Hello, can we see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, I guess it's still loading.
All right, I can see you now. Just scroll down.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So for this what I've worked on from first assignment to present. So the first data set gave us practice 1, and then after doing the
You don't need
assignment.
to explain. Just scroll down. Let me see what is there.
Okay.
Just scroll down.
Okay.
All right. Uber, thank you, Daniel. You can stop sharing. Uber, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can hear you.
All right, please get the phone number of everybody and send it to me on WhatsApp.
Okay, ma, I'll do that.
Thank you.
How do I send it to you? I don't have your number. Should I send it to your email or?
Send to my email.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. All right, so that is, someone is out of this class. Who is that? Richard, okay. All right, so that is it. This is not what I planned for today's class, but this has taken a lot of our time. So we have 45 minutes to end this class. So that 45 minutes, I will leave us to use it. While I understand that, yes, it's not only SQL you're learning. You're learning a lot. That sky is there, and that sky is a whole lot. That sky is there. Visualization classes is there. Other classes are there. Please, I want you to know that there is a foundation for everything. You learn SQL. In your DASCA, you learn R, you learn Python. But the truth is, if you know R and you don't know SQL, you might struggle on some jobs. R, Python, they are more like, they are not the basics. They are like a build on the basics. So SQL for a data scientist or a data analyst or a data engineer, SQL is like the basic. So if you are not sound on the basic, building up on advanced languages might be a little challenging. So that's why it looks like I'm pressing you, okay? So while I understand that there's a lot you have in your hands to do, I also want to encourage you to take time. The truth is, yes, I understand that it's not easy. You read this one, you read this one, this one. It could be overwhelming, yes, but please get your hands on. It's a phase, it's a stage, and it's just for a short time. It's not going to last forever. Very soon, this whole thing will be over. So by the time assuming today we did the class we take what we're supposed to take. By next class, we'll start data models. Then in 3 weeks, we are done with the data models, and we are done with business analytics. Okay, so I just want to encourage you, please take your time, learn these things, and you don't really even have to wait on what you are taught in class. You can go to Oracle website. Oracle has a website, and download materials. Be careful the website you go to. But if you go to Oracle themselves have a website, and on their website they have PDF materials that you can download and read. It is very explanatory. When I was starting SQL, I have the Oracle textbook. It's bigger than the DASCA textbook you are using. Way bigger than the DASCA textbook. And that is what I didn't have this kind of opportunity. I didn't have anybody to teach me. I learned it on my own and on the job. So my own was even more challenging because I was working and I was reading because I had a job. I didn't have experience in SQL, but I have a job that I have to use SQL. So I had to read it and learn it on the job. So please, I'm begging you, take time out to study. Go to Oracle. Oracle material, Oracle resource is going to really, really help you. Forget all these plenty websites that we have in the town talking about. A lot of them will confuse you more. But go and learn from the source. Oracle owns the tool, they own the language, they own the material. So you can get it from Oracle website. So please, 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 and please study. Okay? I'm going to leave this class. I wanted to use the next 30, 40 minutes to do personal catch up. Just do 1 or 2 practice exercise. So yes, while I understand that you might not really have time because after this class you take another class, the tutor as well can come and give you 1001 tasks to do. So please take this 40 minutes and use it to study. Thank you. But I'll be expecting.
Okay,
I'll be
thank you very
expecting
much.
your mail.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So next class be around by 10 o'clock. We won't wait for anybody next class. 10 o'clock, we're going to start by God's grace. And then we'll finish, we were talking about advanced queries. So we talked about pivoting and unpivoting last class. Then we have the codes, we have functions, we have function writing and procedural writing. Then we also have managing privileges and users. So those are the things we are going to talk about next class. So that by 2 classes time, 2 weeks time, we'll go into data models. So next class is going to be bulky. So we're not going to wait for anybody. 10 o'clock is 10 o'clock.
Hello, ma'am. So I have a question
Yes,
to
please.
ask. So
Okay.
after the SQL, we're going to go into data modeling.
Yes.
Yeah, my question exactly is this particular course is titled Business Analytics. So I want to know the business aspect of what we're doing exactly. I mean, I understand all like the SQL, the analysis of the data and all of that, but how this seems like another class to study tools such as
Okay,
SQL.
so the
Get the business part of
part
this.
of it. The business part of it, the SQL is also part of the business part because you can't do business analytics without SQL. Okay, you can use R to do visualization, but you can't use it for analytics. So the way analytics work, analytics is not just in the presentation. So analytics is, when you say analytics, is like an end-to-end process, starting from the concept, the betting of the ideas, the scripting, so no, before the scripting, the concept, the betting of the ideas, knowing your business environment, then now going into data sourcing for your data, then cleaning up your data, then into the scripting to bring out your data into what you want to do. So in the data model is not building data structures. That is not the data model we are going to do. So our data model is more like business models, like models that works in businesses using different type of business models you can apply in running business analytics. So if you are on a job and you are to set up, yeah, a data scientist or a data analyst, and then you have a task. Let's say you have a task to see, who are our customers. Okay, let me use churn prediction for churn for an example. So you want to know, okay, every day people stop using their lines. A lot of people stop using their lines for one reason or the other. I get stolen and all of that. And then you want to see, okay, who are the people that are likely to stop using their line by the end of this month? Or who are the customers that are likely to stop buying goods from our company? For FMCGs, you can say, okay, who are the customers that are likely to stop buying goods from our company by the end of this month? There's a model you can use to determine that. So those are business models. Okay, but we needed to set the foundation, because you can't write a business model without knowing the language you're going to write the model in. Do you get that? So those are business models and industry. So we'll be doing more of industry use cases, business models, like business models that have been used and verified, not business models that somebody somewhere said, but these are business models that are operational within Octave and outside Octave. Do you get that?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right. Any other question? All right. So see you next class.
All right. Thank you very much, ma'am. Bye.
Bye, guys. You guys should ensure you practice and have a wonderful day.